Squadron Leader Anthony Shaw.
Priority classification.
It seems the Oberkommando have as high an opinion of Squadron Leader Shaw's danger to the Third Reich as do his superiors in London. Are you sure you will have nothing, Major?
Quite sure, thank you, sir.
I have asked Hauptmann Ullmann to join us. Perhaps I should tell you, though I will leave it to him to explain why, that Ullmann is in favor of special measures for this prisoner. Come. Everything in order, Ullmann?
Yes, sir. Though I have a feeling the prisoners know, at least the British.
That's hardly surprising, I suppose.
With respect, sir, I regard it as surprising. I find the assumption that the prisoners must know as much as we do ourselves a rather disturbing one.
I'm not aware that I have made any such assumption, Major. Nor, I believe, has Hauptmann Ullmann.
Arrivals and departures have not generally been matters of top security, sir.
Except unauthorized departures, like Player and Walsh, for example.
That goes without saying, Herr Major.
Please sit down, gentlemen. Coffee, Ullmann.
No, thank you, sir. Very kind of you.
I would like you to tell Major Mohn your precise reasons for advising extraordinary measures in the case of the new prisoner.
Certainly, sir. My reasons are twofold. First, the fact that Squadron Leader Shaw was sent direct to Colditz indicates the importance that is attached to his safe detention to the end of the war. He is one of the most highly decorated men in the Allied forces, certainly the most decorated man in Colditz, with the exception of yourself, sir.
Your second reason?
He will inevitably become a focal point for escape activity. His presence alone must considerably benefit their morale.
What are you suggesting? Solitary confinement permanently?
That is one way. It would eliminate all risk.
It seems a rather harsh expedient. Brutal, even.
Yes, sir. On consideration, I agree. There is an alternative.
Mm-hmm.
Might it not be possible in the circumstances to classify this prisoner among the prominente?
Highly irregular.
I appreciate that, sir.
The prominente are prisoners held under special security on the orders of the Fuhrer himself. They are, without exception, high-ranking Allied commanders or members of politically significant families. I cannot see how Squadron Leader Shaw, for all his military distinction, can possibly fall into either category.
Surely, sir, under the circumstances.
We cannot make and unmake official regulations at our own convenience, Hauptmann. Major, your opinion.
I disagree entirely with Hauptmann Ullmann's approach, sir. He wishes to make a special case of this prisoner. But all prisoners here are special cases. That is the purpose of Colditz. At least, as I have understood it. It appears that the security officer takes a different view. Faced with a prisoner he considers to be a real threat, he feels obliged to take desperate measures. That, to me, sounds like an admission of defeat.
Sir, with respect, this prisoner...
This prisoner? What about this prisoner, this squadron leader, Shaw? Is he a Superman?
Sir, I merely wish to...
You are merely saying that Colditz is an insecure prison, that you are aware of the fact and that you have seen fit to do nothing about it until now.
I think, Major, you are stating Hauptmann Ullmann's position somewhat more extremely than he would himself.
I have no doubt, sir. I also believe I am stating it more accurately.
Sir, every escape and escape attempt has been thoroughly analyzed. It is quite impossible that any could be repeated.
In other words, after a sufficient number of escapes have taken place, you will at last feel confident that your precautions are adequate. But how many prisoners must first escape? All of them?
Anything else, Major?
Yes, sir. I believe that by keeping this man confined, you will create something infinitely more potent to the British mentality than a mere hero. You will create a martyr. And I do not believe we should confer that honor on Squadron Leader Shaw or on any other prisoner.
I can only repeat what I have said, sir. There is always a risk. With my plan, I believe it to be eliminated.
I incline toward Major Mohn's view. It is no part of our duty to create either heroes or martyrs here. This man's reputation goes before him as a flyer. Let's see how long it survives the confines of Colditz. I suspect not long.
So I take it my keeping a special watch on this prisoner will in no way conflict with your orders.
A very sensible precaution, I would have thought. Until we know what to expect from the gentleman.
Why not just build a pedestal in the middle of the courtyard and ask Mr. Shaw if he'd be good enough to climb onto it? Depressed, Mr. Carter? I wonder why that could be. You were looking so pleased with yourself this morning.
Hold on, Mr. Carter. Just a minute.
Good afternoon, Major. What a surprise. Bronte. Emily Bronte. She was a novelist. In my opinion, an excellent one.
A woman?
Some of our finest writers have been women. Does that surprise you?
Well, should it? They have little else to do. You are preparing your next lesson, presumably.
Yes.
Are you planning to take over from Mr. Porteous as schoolmaster in residence?
Not take over. Help a little.
But you are the more highly qualified, are you not?
Yes. Strictly speaking, that is so.
And the senior officer. And yet you are prepared to work under him.
Not under him, with him.
And what kind of man do you find you, Mr. Porteous?
An admirable man, in many ways. You disagree?
He was the least troublesome of prisoners. I am pleased to see you follow his example, though frankly I'm surprised.
Oh?
From your record. War hero turned schoolmaster? Or perhaps it was a case of schoolmaster turned war hero now reverting to type.
If you think there's any difference. You seem to imply that there's something special, something extraordinary about what you call the war hero. But it simply isn't true, is it?
Then why there not more?
Luck? Good, bad, or both?
I want you to know that I'm not taken in by all this.
I don't understand. Taken in by what?
This pose. you have chosen to adopt, the bookish academic. Some may be deceived, not me. I thought I should warn you.
Thank you, but it's not a pose.
I find that impossible to believe.
Why, if I might ask, Major?
Because I know too well what goes into the kind of service record you have.
For instance?
Courage, resolution, to prove yourself worthy of the thing you believe in.
Thing or person? At any rate, to prove yourself.
Yes, Mr. Shaw. To prove yourself.
There are other reasons for doing things apart from proving yourself. Doing something for its own sake. Doing it well, not to prove anything. Even doing it badly, perhaps.
You are speaking of yourself.
All I've proved is that it's possible for the most ordinary man to become a war hero. Not the most special, the most ordinary. I learned to fly before the war. It was a rich man's hobby. I learned as the guest of a rich friend. I knew I was competent, better than competent, but not special. On top of that, I knew I had a clear head. It's my job, thinking clearly about literature. So, come the war, I put the two together. Clear head, flying. And the marriage worked. Better than my own. That's all it is, this heroism. Of course, I'm not comparing myself with you, Major.
I'm not supposed you were.
You are a fighting man, a professional soldier, whereas I, in photographic reconnaissance, am hardly more than an observer.
It would seem you took too close a look, Mr. Shaw, since here you are.
Nobody's infallible.
That is true. Here we both are. An invalid guarding a schoolmaster.
Very positive conclusion, Mayor.
Yes, sir. I have never known a priority classification more inappropriate.
You don't think there's any possibility of his attempting to mislead us?
None, sir.
What makes you so certain?
The man is without honor, sir.